Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. We have a special holiday show here tonight. We're going to be talking with organizations that that help out the community all year long, but they have a special place in our community during the holiday season because there is a need for food, for shelter, for clothing, all sorts of things. So tonight, my first guest is going to be Ava Mikulovich from the Urban Gleaners. Thanks for being here, Ava.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes, it's the first time I've had Urban Gleaners on here.
Yes.
So for myself and for the viewers out here, maybe you could tell me a little bit about what Urban Gleaners does, what your mission is, and a little bit about the program.
Sure. So we use the word rescue. So we rescue edible surplus food from grocery stores, restaurants, farmers markets, sometimes farms directly, and caterers that would otherwise be thrown away, and then we redistribute it to families that need it. So this food is, it's amazing food, it's fresh food. You wouldn't assume that it's going to be thrown away, but for whatever reason it's no longer saleable. Dairy that is a day till its expiration date. And even the USDA, it's perfectly good. It's good for another 2 weeks, but the stores can't sell it, or if something just looks
it's
funky.
right to their sell by date,
Exactly.
not necessarily the use by date, but the sell by
exactly.
date. Is that,
yeah. And our biggest focus now, this statistics actually just changed recently. Oregon used to have the highest rate of childhood hunger. In the most recent USDA report, we are now second in the nation, right?
Moving on down, just the way we want to go.
We got better. It was because Mississippi got worse, so we're second only to Mississippi now. Yeah,
and that's so amazing to me that we have
right.
such a high rate of childhood hunger.
Right, especially because we
appalling.
produce so much food in the state. And we're so progressive and sustainable.
So you wouldn't think that of us.
Yeah, it's shocking. And so when
disappointing.
When our executive director, Tracy Ozerin, learned of that, actually this was kind of a chicken and egg story. She had heard, she was speaking somewhere, and a parent came forward and said, are you bringing food to schools? And she kind of had an aha moment. She thought, I'm not, because before we had just been supplying it to kind of emergency food relief agencies or homeless shelters. And so she started, it was a simple bread backpack program at one elementary school in 2009, and now we're at 16 elementary schools, one high school, and each of the schools get a weekly delivery of about 500 pounds of food.
Oh my gosh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That's great. Those aha moments are something to pay attention to. Yeah, I was recently talking with Salvation Army, and they have started doing a lot of gleaning their own rescuing food, and I think it just makes so much sense because there's so much waste, and why waste it if it's perfectly good food?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so how do you go about doing that? I mean, and how many people are involved in doing this work?
So we have a staff of 3, paid staff of 3, very small, yeah. And what the staff does is we actually take the food that comes into our distribution center and deliver it to the schools. Okay. But about 90 to 95% of the food coming into our distribution center comes in through volunteer power. So we have a network of about 35 plus volunteers. It fluctuates, and what we task them with is we align them up with a specific route. So we glean from, I think, 6 New Seasons, like 4 Whole Foods, 2 of the Zupans, the City Market.
Good stores.
And we do it, it's good food, and we do it multiple times a week. So let's say every Tuesday night we pick up from New Seasons Arbor Lodge, and we need a volunteer to do it And so they kind of take on that role.
So do they take on the role of picking it up? So you have a volunteer go to
Yeah.
that store, pick it up, bring it to your distribution center, and then you have other people that maybe go through it and do you package it up?
Yeah,
in
we have a
certain
few
amount?
volunteers who kind of help us organize our distribution center, but mostly that happens with staff hours. And then we hardly do any repackaging as it comes
really?
in,
Good.
as it goes out. We do occasionally just get compost.
Oh,
You know, when
okay,
you're
yeah.
dealing with food that's
Yeah.
nearing the end of its life, sometimes if it's in our distribution center for a day or two, nothing stays there longer than 2 days, but it'll mold or whatever.
Yeah.
So we do try and kind of
Do you
curate the food
compost it?
boxes.
I mean,
we do. The awesome
I
thing
love
is that
I love it.
Our peak season is summer. We generate about 1,000 pounds of compost each week.
Wow.
But we made a relationship with a pig farmer out in Dundee, and he comes in every Friday morning and he takes all of it.
Great.
He takes, and he feeds it to his pigs. And so besides the compost and the food going out, we have almost no waste stream.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, I love the relationships and how we can help each other, the symbiotic relationships.
yeah.
You did this, I'll do this, and it all works out great. I love that.
Yeah.
So what's Urban Gleaners' biggest need then? Do you need more people more stores and things to supply? Do you need more volunteers? Do you need donations? What's your biggest need?
we kind of need a little bit
Or
of
yes.
everything.
Is
Yeah,
yes
yeah.
the answer to that?
We were just going gangbusters this year. We increased our staff by 50%. We went from 2 to 3, and we historically our winters are pretty lean. We get, just from the PSU farmers market alone during the summer, we get 400 to 500 pounds a week of greens. So you can imagine the volume. It's not just root vegetables, it's greens.
Well, there's so much more growing in
Yeah,
the summer.
yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
But then, and in our winters we're lean, but this year it's been, we've been packed. But that doesn't mean that we can't still capture more of the food that's making it into the landfill that doesn't actually need to be there.
It's such a great thing to be able to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so irritating to know that so much of that food just goes to waste.
Right, yeah.
So the food that you get, is it all unprepared food?
We've actually started, we have the capacity now to take prepared food, so we have a really wonderful relationship with Bon Appetit Catering Company, and they cater at Reed College and Lewis and Clark College. They cater Intel, the Intel campus, and we glean the food from their cafeterias.
Great.
It's amazing food, but what we have to do is then break it down, because if it comes to us in this 100-pound plastic container, it's hard for the schools to deal with that.
Yeah.
So we are now in the business of breaking down and repackaging food, but just that's a smaller part of our food waste, our food stream.
So how are you supported? How is Urban Gleaners supported?
Well, I think that most importantly is our volunteers. I mean, we couldn't do what we do without them. We expect them to do an amazing amount of work for us, and they always provide. Do you mean
financially,
funding?
do you get
Yeah.
funding from government funding, or is it all private donations or grants? Or?
We actually receive no government funding. That's a big task to get government grant money.
It's a real headache.
Yeah, as it stands, a large part of our budget comes through our own fundraisers. So this year, I think, is the 3rd year we're in the Willamette Week Give Guide.
Which is great.
Yeah,
Great.
it's been amazing for us.
Well, it brings a lot of attention. Being in that Willamette Week Give Guide gives a lot of attention to nonprofits that maybe otherwise wouldn't get it.
Right,
so,
yeah.
So good for you.
Yeah, it's been a boon for us. And then, but outside of that, we do our own personal mailer, and so our 2014 mailer is coming up. And
so how many, do you have one fundraising drive a year, a couple of them, or?
Yeah, we have our mailer, and then
is that just for the winter time,
Yeah, it usually goes out around the holidays.
Okay.
This year it's going out a little bit later than, this is technically our 2013 mailer, but it'll be going out in 2014.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. That's just letting people know what you're doing and asking them for donations.
Exactly, yeah. And that's a big part of our revenue stream. And then we do we get some private family foundations as well. But the other thing that we were kind of speaking about beforehand was we do a fundraiser dinner where we invite people into our space, and we cook them a multi-coursed meal made entirely out of gleaned food.
I think that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me just a little bit about that.
This last time it was this last September, and we invited in a guest chef, a Portland chef, who has a really illustrious career in the Portland food scene.
And we have quite a few of those in Portland, don't we?
Yeah, and he spent about a month with us, and he'd come in every day, and he'd pull food that he knew he could prepare or preserve in some way. So he was making things a full month up to the meal. So we made our own
try the food?
cheese. Oh my God, it was amazing. Yeah,
I'd love to be in on that.
yeah.
Okay, sure, I'll try that for you.
Yeah. There was cheese, and there was romesco, and he made this wonderful salad, and he made. There's proteins and meats, and he's also a baker by trade, so he brought in these beautiful table loaves. It was a really wonderful experience, and I think for a lot of people it was amazing to see what Glean food looks like, because it doesn't
It's not
look
just
crummy.
leftovers. It's not just somebody's scrapings off their plate. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah. Wow, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And so how many people can attend that event?
This last one was 25 people, but we're looking to increase it for the next round, which will be happening next summer.
Next summer, okay. So we
Yeah.
can probably check your website. And
Yeah.
keep up on that.
Yes, please do.
I think you brought some pictures of some volunteers, and maybe we could take a look at that and see what your volunteers are doing. I don't think they've shown those yet.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like the volunteers are a very crucial part of your organization. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, now what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so the kind of the other half of our organization is once we drop the food off at these schools, they have an amazing amount of work to do. They have family volunteers from the school, usually students, parents, who run their food pantries, and that's how they distribute the food. So this was one of our summer food pantries that we were running at, I believe it's Cherry Park Elementary, but I could be wrong.
But out in this area, right?
Yeah. And so these are the kids. That's a nice one because you can see the people lining up to.
Wow, these are people
to
lined
shop.
up to get.
Yeah.
So they get to shop for the food, like they.
Yeah, we kind of set it up like a farmer's market, and then they come through and they usually bring their own bag or box, and they take what they want. It takes very
Do they have
little.
to pay for some of it? No.
It's all free.
So
yeah.
they're shopping, but without having to pay
Yeah,
for
free
it.
shopping. Yeah,
Free
which is
shopping.
the best kind of
Yeah,
shopping. Yeah, and
Look at all
the
that
one on the
produce.
left is a nice picture because that's actually a pickup that's happening. We pick up directly from Sauvie Island Organic twice a
nice.
week. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so
Good
that was
stuff.
a volunteer who went, I think throughout the summer of 2012, she went every Thursday and picked up.
Wow.
And it's whatever they have left over from their CSA that just didn't make it out into a CSA
Oh,
share,
really?
and it's not worth it to them to bring it to a farmer's market.
Huh.
So we get
and
amazing stuff.
certainly shouldn't go to waste. So how
Right,
great
yeah.
is that?
Yeah, I like to think that we do. I mean, they do an amazing amount of work for us and share their food
But
with
you're
us.
helping them too.
Yeah, I like to think that
Well,
we
it's like
do
with
something
the-
for them.
It's
Yeah,
like the relationship with the pig farmer. It's the
Yeah.
same kind of thing. You know, you're helping each other. So that's a great way to do it.
yeah.
So tell me about when at the schools you say they have an amazing amount of work to do. So what do the schools have to do? If a school wanted to be involved and work with Urban Gleaners, they'd have to have families or volunteers of some kind who would have to commit to working every week doing what?
Yeah. Well, we actually don't see too much of that side, but I know that we get people solicit us all the times. Other nonprofits, shelters, churches, mostly schools, and they say, we want your food. And it's a process to start this program, and we will often walk through it with people. And sometimes it takes off, and sometimes it fails.
It's too much.
And what we found is if it takes an amazing amount of manpower and hours on their
Probably
end.
somebody to organize it too.
Exactly, and to find a classroom and to find basically just a champion, either in the student community or in the staff community.
But what a bonus to that community once you get it going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's exciting. I love it. I think that's just such a great thing. I remember first time I ever heard the word gleaners years ago, I thought, what the heck is a gleaner? I had no clue what that meant. And, and it just makes such perfect sense. Before we run out of time, Ava, what else should we know about Urban Gleaners, or how can people get involved and help?
Yeah, we're always looking for volunteers. Like I said, we're growing and we're growing and we're growing. We're increasing our capacity all the time, and every time we make a new relationship, with a new food donor, we need more volunteers to pick up that food.
Okay, good. And then what is this? We have up on the screen something. What's for dinner? What is it? Tell me what that is.
This is our 2014 mailer that we were talking about, and
okay.
It's special because we've had a long-standing relationship with Kate Barker over at Cherry Park Elementary. She's the principal there, and we asked her to ask her students what they had for dinner. And so she went to about 40 of her students and gave them a paper plate and said, please draw what you had for dinner the night before. And at the end of the week, she handed us this stack of paper plates, and it was heartbreaking what came back. We had 1 or 2 nothings, we had a couple of Doritos and crackers, and some Taco Bell, and then we had spaghetti and hot dog and salad. So it really ran the gamut, but it was representative of the statistic that 1 out of 10 kids in Oregon suffers from food insecurity.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I
Yeah.
didn't know that's what that represented. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time, Ava, but that really brings it home as
Yeah.
why this is important. So thank you for the good work that you do. And at this holiday season, this is a good time for people to remember. It's a season to give. So if they can make a donation, or if they're interested in volunteering any time of year, or donating in any way, then we can go to your website, find out more information, or we should have the information on the screen.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this first segment on Community Hotline. Don't go away. We have more wonderful people that are going to come on and share with you the good work they're doing in your community. So stay with us.
What local community media is to us is literally our lifeline to what's going on in the lives around us.
The absolute most important thing that happens in your neighborhood.
People's local communities are usually what's most important to them.
Because we're the faces, the smiles, the peoples, and the personalities of the community.
To not only give people a voice, but to have their voice heard.